I'm joined on the Crispin Flintoff show by Yvonne Ridley. How are you doing, Yvonne?
Yeah, great, great, thanks.
It looks really good where you are, nice and sunny. I wanted to talk to you about was this fantastic article that you wrote in Middle East Monitor. I'll just show a screenshot of it. Leila Khaled, bold, brave, and beautiful. I suggest everyone has a good look at that. The situation facing Leila, in your article, you say that she just had a brain hemorrhage. Is she still fighting?
She is, and of course, we would expect nothing less from her. She opened her eyes yesterday and she was surrounded by her family. Um, the article that I wrote reads more like an obituary, and I think I'm a wee bit premature because, Leila Khaled has been a fighter all her life. She's got this true grit and determination that Palestinians inherited, and she's still hanging in there. And I'm hoping that she does make a full recovery, because I'll go and visit her and apologize for saying that I was a wee bit too um, enthusiastic, should we say, about reporting on her demise. So, but at the moment, she's still unconscious. She's still in a coma. But yesterday, she did open her eyes.
Wow, incredible. I mean, reading your article, I learned a lot about her. The iconic picture of her that people will seen is
She should be as recognizable as Che Guevara. That image of her with her AK-47 and the sort of urban guerrilla Tiffany look, because she did look very much like the famous film actress Audrey Hepburn.
there's another picture here of her. So she reading about what she did is it's incredible to think she was the first woman to hijack a plane. I mean, that's like in the Guinness Book of Records. They wouldn't put that in the Guinness Book of
No.
Records, would they? But the the whole experience of doing that and then deciding that she wanted to do it again so much that she had facial surgery so that they couldn't recognize her. I mean, she was that determined to do it again that she wanted her face to be mashed up and stuff. Um, you would write about in your article about how much of an inspiration she was to a lot of young women at the time. Do you see her as a kind of female role model or a female hero or of that sort of thing?
Well, she was a role model for kids like me who were brought up in County Durham pit villages. We were very much stereotyped and destined for a life of cooking and cleaning in pit row cottages, and that was going to be our future. So to see this woman burst onto the scene wielding a Kalashnikov um, as a hijacker, it was incredible. Suddenly people started thinking, well, there are other options in life. Not that I'm saying that, we all wanted to be hijackers. Of course we didn't. But she just really took our breath away, very much in the same way that Che Guevara, his image was everywhere in the 70s, and everybody wanted to dress with a beret and urban guerrilla clothes and carry that his iconic image. But where he continued to grow, she didn't. And every now and again there are bursts of interest in her, but she wasn't a publicity seeker. And she was actually criticized by her organization. She was a Marxist, like Che. She was in the PLFP, the Palestine Liberation Front, and she was criticized by the leadership for not giving more interviews, especially after the first hijacking. And of course, once you've been marked, you know, the chances of you being welcomed into any airport in the world are suddenly reduced. So she went and had plastic surgery, but nothing to enhance her looks at all. It was to remove that Audrey Hepburn, you know, elfin pixie face, and my goodness, she went and did it again, and there was a lot of activity by the left-wing guerrilla organizations in those days, and on that particular day, there were 4 hijackings of planes by Palestinian groups, but hers was the one that succeeded and managed to get through airport checks and airport security again. So, you know, it was an incredible thing for an Arab woman from the 70s, from a very conservative society. You know, it was an incredible thing for her to do. And as a result, anyone who had a baby girl during the 70s, early 80s, named their daughter Leila. And there are lots of women walking around at the moment with this beautiful name and have no idea of its origins. But she inspired so many groups who supported direct action. And
Yeah, the thing is, I've looked online at some clips of her. I'm just going to play some clips of her from that time a bit until a bit more recently.
How far ahead do you see the possibility of victory in your fight for Palestine?
As long as we have our clear vision of the revolution, I can say that we will have victory at the end.
In how many years do you think this end might be?
We can't say in how many years. It would take us a long, long time. And we can't say maybe for 50 years, never mind.
And when you get this victory, what will you do about the Jews who are living there, over 2 million of them?
We'll ask these people that they have the choice either to live with us peacefully and they would have the same rights as we do.
In a Palestine state?
In a Palestine state. Or get out of that country if they don't like that situation.
But we know, don't we, both you and I, that 95% of the Jews who are in Israel would say they would rather die than leave Israel.
Okay, then let them fight.
ليش بعدين إذا أنا قمت عملت أي عمل شو ما كانت طبيعته ينقال عننا أنه هذا مش من حقنا؟ لما طلعنا خطفنا طيارات كل العالم سأل مين هدول؟ كل العالم سأل مين هدول؟ بغض النظر عن موقفهم بس سألوا مين هدول. بس لما كانت الناس بالسجون عم تتعذب وبتصرخ من الكهرباء اللي يحطوها فيها ما كانش حدا يسمع صوتهم. احنا كنا مضطرين نقول هذا الكلام، نقول احنا عملنا هيك، مضطرين نعمل هيك عشان نقولكم مين احنا يا عالم، عشان نقولكم احنا شعب انظلم. وما اظنش في انسان عاقل بيقبل الظلم، ما في.
We are winning the world. We are winning the whole world now. And when we see that in every country there are demonstrations supporting the resistance and not against Israel. And Israel now took the mask out to say, because they always say we are a democratic state. No, genocide has been a long time ago, but now it's condensed. Now it is very well opened. And people can understand that they are making Israeli genocide with the help of the United States. We want our narrative, and our narrative defeated the narrative of the Zionists. We know that we are paying a very high price on the expense of our people, children, women, and destroying our houses there in Gaza. Everything is destroyed now, and they are using another way. It's to make us calm and feminine in Gaza, and they depend on that the people will not support the resistance. It is their resistance. This is the beginning of the liberation. This is not a military action. Now we began the liberation action, and this is the beginning. They have been sieging Gaza Strip and our people there for 17 years. And now it's condensed by killing our people. Even the Israeli army now is complaining that we are not fighting. We are killing. Only we are killing people. Because they don't see any of the resistance, the freedom fighters. They come from the tunnels, and they don't know when and how, and they don't know anything about it. And now Israel is in a crisis. This is also an achievement of our resistance, and we can continue. We are prepared for that.
No, I like the way she smokes a fag at the end there, but very she's lit a little fag at the end.
Yeah, she was a bit of a chain smoker, and she did have a battle with cancer until fairly recently, which she overcame. You know, say the woman is remarkable. She's never changed her view or her political beliefs. You know, she's been as straight as an arrow from day one. And I absolutely adore her, as you've probably guessed. And the PLFP that she belonged to, they were with the PLO up until the Oslo Accords, and then they broke away. And of course, looking back now, you can see that they were right to do that, because the Oslo Accords should just be ripped up and thrown away. They were never taken seriously. Israel didn't move the dial 1 degree on the Oslo Accords. It was theatre, political theatre.
There's a few things that she said. Yasser Arafat, she says that he was killed by Israel. Do you think that that's true? I've heard one or two people say it. Is that true? Has that not been investigated?
Well, I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but his demise was sudden and rapid under Ariel Sharon. And, you know, at one point, Sharon did devise a plan with Mossad to get into Ramallah to kidnap Arafat and take him right out into the middle of the desert and just dump him. And you know, they wanted rid of Arafat. They kept saying he's a stumbling block to peace, just as they say Hamas is a stumbling block to peace. Anybody who actually wants peace or wants to sit down and negotiate is a stumbling block, and they're demonized and targeted. And, you know, if Israel is prepared to breach another country's sovereignty like Iran and assassinate the head of Hamas, which is what they did with Ismail Haniyeh, then it's not inconceivable that they poisoned Arafat. I remember seeing him in Ramallah in March, April 2002. And he was, you could see that he was ill, and his skin was grey, you know, and you know, it's quite plausible to think that they did kill him. And of course, they've supplanted him with a disgraceful man who needs to stand down, who has betrayed the Palestinian people constantly. And of course, revolutionaries and the old guard like Leila can see this. And, you know, she was prepared to put her life on the line, and she did several times, for the struggle or for the cause of Palestine. And she must look at these corrupt old men from the Palestinian Authority in despair. You know, they've got hundreds of security guards who arrest Palestinians and hand them over to Israel. And it's disgusting, you know, and it explains why the youth in the occupied West Bank look at Hamas and think they're wonderful because they actually get things done. They're getting prisoners back from Israel. Things have stopped at the moment with the hostages, but the Hamas did achieve things that the Palestinian Authority never did. And
I mean, the other thing she says in there, sorry, is she says that no one hears you when you're in an Israeli jail. No one in the West cares about anyone in an Israeli jail. But if you are hijacking a plane, everyone wants to know what's going on. I mean, that sort of the way that Palestinians have not been given any voice kind of makes it necessary for these direct actions, and some of them are, you know, pretty terrifying things that people would not condone. But you can totally understand if no one's listening to the voices of people being detained in Israeli jails at ridiculously young ages, and you know, why would they not do something else? It's the same argument now as with Hamas, as you sort of mentioned before. I mean, if you're not listened to, where do you go? What can you do?
yeah, well, the answer back in the day was hijack planes, and of course the Achille Lauro cruise liner, which was hijacked as well. They went for high-profile targets, and because she was female, because she was a good-looking woman, the media loved to hate her. And she came to London in 2002 and spoke at a Stop the War event. And after she spoke, there was outrage. How did this, you know, how was this terrorist allowed back into the country? And so, unfortunately, subsequent trips to the UK have not happened. Her visa has been stopped by various Home Secretaries. And if Nelson Mandela's grandson can't get in Britain today with the vet Cooper, then I doubt that Leila Khaled would either. But yes, the media were attracted to her. It was a sort of love-hate relationship. She was daring, she was dynamic, she was good looking, she spoke English in this very scratchy voice, and yeah, the media loved her in the same way as they iconized the girl in the West Bank with the flame red hair, whose name escapes me now, but it'll come back. And these women do crop up from time to time, and they catch your breath.
Now, just thinking about what you've said, the hijacking of planes and stuff like that. I mean, that's not something that Hamas is doing now. And there's this call that you've obviously seen that there's a legal case being put forward to de-prescribe Hamas as a terrorist organization. There's no threat. They're not threatening Britain or the British
No.
airplanes or any kind of in any kind of way comparable with what you saw with Leila back then.
Mhm.
So it just seems, with that comparison in mind, it just seems ridiculous that Hamas is seen as a terrorist organization when it's really just within its own country fighting an occupying force. I can't see any evidence that Hamas has gone out and tried to get attention through aircraft hijacking or anything else.
Mhm. Well, I'm sure that people watching this will call us Hamas apologists, but the truth is that as a resistance group, they have a right to resist, and they don't pose a threat to Britain. And it's in the same way that Hezbollah doesn't pose a threat to Britain either. Uh, and the Taliban, they kept their all of their battles within the confines of their country.
Yeah.
So this hysteria doesn't do us any favors at all.
I mean, are you worried about even saying it? I mean, because you can, everyone can be locked up for making any reference almost to Hamas. I mean, I'm talking to you, I'm thinking, oh God, but like I say, the comparison with what was going on in the 70s, there's no similarity between that kind of terrorist activity and Hamas, which is not conducting that. It just seems bizarre.
Yeah, it is interesting, but if you look historically at a lot of left-wing groups, they were prepared to take direct action, and as the groups became less political, that ability to go around the world seizing headlines stopped. So the tactics have certainly changed.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it seems like such a different.
Although you wouldn't think that when you travel by air today, because uh, the rules keep changing, and the hijackers, did affect the way we did air travel, or the way we do air travel.
Yeah. Well, we can blame her for when we get long queues. So we should when she comes round from her coma, can you tell her that we're fed up with the queues at the airports and it's all down to her.
Yes, I'll mention that. And knowing her sense of humor, she'll probably laugh and appreciate that as well.